Chapter 41 Deep Enlightenment, Automatic Medicine Refining Plan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The properties of Xianhuang Yen are moderately powerful. By calcining medicinal materials with this strange fire, the potency of the medicine will be much purer than that of peach blossom fire. A moment later, Xiao Yan refined the Ningxue powder for the second time, and the quality directly exceeded the description in the prescription. Yao Lao couldn't help but envied Xiao Yan. When he was with Xiao Yan, he didn't get the strange fire. After loading a bunch of jade bottles and gaining another experience, Xiao Yan used a kind of flame in each palm of his hands, and put countless blood-coagulating grass and vitality fruit into the medicine cauldron. Yao Lao was dumbfounded. He was just giving Xiao Yan some guidance. He was already on the road so quickly, and now he had exceeded the prescription. If all the medicinal materials are available, even if Xiao Yan is asked to refine a fourth-grade elixir and consume a few more medicinal materials, there is a high probability of success, and the success rate of this refining medicine will be higher than that of an ordinary fourth-grade alchemist. After half a day, there was only one ingredient left in Neji to refine the coagulation powder. You have refined coagulation powder many times, and with the help of your own pharmacological knowledge, you have understood it, and you have an epiphany about burning blood powder. Burning blood powder has more salamander flame grass than coagulating blood powder. In addition to its healing effect, applying this medicine can stimulate the fighting spirit in the body, increasing one's own strength by 10% in a short period of time. Note, not only can water attribute fighting spirit practitioners not be able to heal their injuries, but it will also deplete their own fighting spirit. After personally experiencing life in the Warcraft Mountains, Xiao Yan knew that the Warcrafter would not care whether they were injured or not. If you can increase your strength a little and complete a counterattack when you are injured, then that is a truly life-saving medicine. His fingers clicked on the ring, and a salamander flame grass from the Wolf-Head mercenary group was put into the medicine cauldron. Ha! Yao Lao, who looked a little drowsy because Xiao Yan was as perfect as a puppet and perfectly refined the coagulation powder, was confused by Xiao Yan's sudden move. As the flames roared, the essence of the medicinal materials in the medicine cauldron gradually condensed into a relatively concentrated blood-red paste. Before Xiao Yan could take it out, Yao Lao opened the medicine cauldron and took out the paste. As an 8th-grade alchemist, Yao Lao realized the improvement of this medicine compared to Ningxue powder after just a brief inspection. After adding the salamander flame grass, it actually has the effect of stimulating fighting spirit and making the fighting spirit violent. The key is that the salamander flame grass is very cheap. This is a life-saving medicine for mercenaries who go to the mercenary group all year round. Yao Lao nodded approvingly at Xiao Yan. Every alchemist needs to prepare his own prescriptions. Alchemists who don't have their own prescriptions will be a little more embarrassed when communicating with their peers. He is truly a promising alchemist. It's just some changes in the teacher's prescription. It's nothing. Xiao Yan waved his hand. Yao Lao thought, in just half a day, I changed my prescription. This is already a heaven-defying level of understanding. After coughing lightly, Yao Lao smiled and said, now that you have the means to refine medicine, if you need any animal fire resources in the future, you can just figure it out yourself. Teacher, you are really lazy. Xiao Yan said with a bitter smile. Yao Lao said with a serious face, you have just started refining medicine and need to gain experience. I am here to improve your medicine refining skills. When it is time to help you, I will naturally help you. You need to restore your fighting spirit first. The things I mentioned earlier to speed up your cultivation are now ready. It's time for me to refine them for you. Xiao Yan nodded and refined all the medicinal materials into coagulation powder in one breath. Even though his Doji cyclone had expanded several times due to his skill being promoted to the lower level of Xian level, it was still completely consumed. He sat cross-legged on the ground and started the great burning technique. With such a huge consumption, Xiao Yan's demand for the energy of heaven and earth reached an extreme level. Under the gathering of majestic energy from heaven and earth, Xiao Yan's body shone with a dark gray light, which was very extraordinary. Yao Lao admired Xiao Yan's cultivation talent in his heart again, and then took out the materials for refining burning blood. Xiao Yan had already collected most of the materials needed for burning blood in the Warcraft Mountains. and the rest was made up at the miter auction house. However, compared to the medicine cauldron, Neji, and animal fire, this blood-burning material is completely worthless. While the technique was running, Xiao Yan knew in his heart that he wanted more beast fire and some special material resources, and he had to cooperate with Yafei, a shrewd and charming fairy. However, it is really pointless to ask him to refine the healing medicine of coagulation powder every day, if the runes are used to bless the puppets, allowing these puppets to temper the power of medicine and fuse it into medicine. Automatic medicine refining is the correct solution. With this idea, Xiao Yan began to have an epiphany along this line of thinking. After a while, you have refined the blood coagulation powder many times, coupled with years of experience in studying puppets, using magic cores, and refining fire bombs, you have realized it. You have suddenly realized the automatic refining plan of the blood coagulation powder. The automatic refining plan of Ningxue powder, multiple puppets engraved with different runes, using the magic core as the source of energy, can complete the tempering and fusion of medicinal materials. After realizing the fire bomb, Xiao Yan made a new breakthrough in the use of magic core. As the energy core of the puppet, Xiao Yan has made breakthroughs in the use of the demon core, and Xiao Yan also has a deeper understanding of the way of the puppet. You relied on the drawing of the flame bullet runes to further deduce the way of puppets. You had an epiphany and understood the intermediate puppet making method. Method for making intermediate puppets. Compared with elementary puppets that can only move simply, intermediate puppets can already be used for combat, refining medicine, etc. After some enlightenment, Xiao Yan's fighting spirit was completely restored. Feeling the fighting spirit filled with fighting spirit in his body, Xiao Yan felt that he was about to break through again. Just when Xiao Yan opened his eyes, more than 10 transparent jade bottles appeared on the stone table in front of Yao Lao. The jade bottle was filled with a red liquid that looked as thick as blood. Let your maid put something on your body later, which will accelerate the consumption of fighting energy in your body, and at the same time, it can also accelerate regeneration. In the stalemate of constant consumption and regeneration, your strength will accelerate and increase. Yao Lao looked at Xiao Yan with a smile, with a bit of cunning in his eyes. Little guy, cultivation is not always smooth sailing. Only by enduring some hardships can we solidify our foundation and reach a higher state. Xiao Yan put the jade bottles into the Neji one by one, and smiled bitterly in his heart. The medicine master did not do it himself, but asked the maid to serve him. Maybe he didn't want to embarrass himself later. When the last bottle was filled, Xiao Yan pulled out the jade stopper and sniffed the liquid in the bottle. It turns out that this is the burning blood refined from various fire attribute items. Chapter 42 Burning blood helps with enlightenment, burning the sky and refining the body. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After capping the cork of the bottle, Xiao Yan put it into the ring and raised the corners of his mouth slightly. With this thing, I can develop a body training technique by myself. After years of practicing fighting spirit, Xiao Yan has gained a lot of insights into the practice of body refining. However, if the body's cultivation only relies on the energy of heaven and earth, the effect will be mediocre. To polish your physical fitness, if you can combine it with good things like burning blood, you can advance quickly. Xiao Yan patted the dust on his body and trotted down the mountain. Yao Lao's heart skipped a beat when he saw the smile on Xiao Yan's lips. Could it be that this little guy has guessed the effect of burning blood and even wants to find a way to resolve it? Immediately afterwards, Yao Lao was shocked by his whimsical idea and shook his head in his heart. Impossible, impossible. If you can think of a way to avoid the pain of burning blood after just smelling it, then cultivation will be too easy. Xiao Yan, the little guy, could only see how extraordinary this blood-burning thing was. The bone inflammation ring shimmered, and Yao Lao's voice came out. It's just a 4th-grade medicinal liquid. When the materials are ready, I can refine a better one for you. Xiao Yan ignored it and was contemplating the last part of his body training technique. After a cup of tea, Xiao Yan returned to his small courtyard. As soon as they entered the small courtyard, several pretty maids shouted towards the house with smiles. The young master is back. Nodding to the maids, Xiao Yan quickly walked into the room, and 4 beautifully dressed girls came forward to greet them. They served tea and wiped their faces. The whole set of actions was extremely skillful. The 4 girls are in the beautiful and youthful age of 15 or 16. They are about 1.6 meters tall. They are graceful and slender, with a full waist, they have delicate melon seed faces, eyes like dots of paint, and are extremely delicate. They each wear short skirts of different colors, and they look very delicate and pleasant. The 4 girls are Qin Yueyao's personal maids for Xiao Yan. They are named Chunying, Xiaoying, Qiuing, and Dongying. Although the Xiao family temporarily stayed in Wutan City for some reasons, Qin Yueyao did not miss the treatment that some young masters from big families deserved from Xiao Yan. Why did the young master come back so early today? In the past, he went home after dark. Has there been a breakthrough in cultivation? Chunying, who was older, asked in a gentle voice. I got a good thing today. You will know it later. Xiao Yan shook his arms. It was quite tiring to refine so many blood coagulation powders at once. Take off your clothes first and serve me first. Take a shower. I remember it was Chunying and Xiaoying who sent you to take a bath. It took you 2 or 3 hours to take a bath. I don't know what you did. The whole room was wet. I don't know how to wash it. The girl in orange said. There was a series of silvery laughter, and the pretty face turned red. When Qiuing said it like this, Chunying and Xiaoying couldn't help but think of the nonsense that day. They both had blushing cheeks and were so pretty. Xiao Yan grabbed Qiuing Hao's wrist and stretched out his hand to scratch her pretty nose. We have serious business today. No one is missing. I will spank anyone who dares to run away. Yes. The 4 girls responded in unison with their delicate cheeks flushed. Yao Lao said in his heart, little guy, you are still a young master now. You will feel uncomfortable later. After preparing for a moment, the bathroom was steaming with steam, and the pool was soaked in flowers and spices, making it colorful. As soon as the 4 of them entered the bathroom, they quickly took off their outer skirts and inner clothes, leaving only a pair of bellyband pants. The skin under the bellyband was looming, revealing the curves, and the youthful jade body was extremely attractive. They came forward to undress Xiao Yan and take off his belt. Their cheeks felt hot as they looked at Xiao Yan's increasingly strong muscles. There was still training to be done later, so Xiao Yan did not torment the 4 little girls and just closed his eyes and relaxed his body. The 4 women all looked at Xiao Yan with some doubts. What happened to this man now? Is there really something serious going on? After looking at each other for a while, the 4 girls picked up the bath cloth and wiped Xiao Yan. Half an hour later, Xiao Yan dried his body, and before the 4 girls could put on new clothes, he just changed their bellybands and pulled them to the bed. Young master, madam asked you to concentrate on your cultivation and not to mess around before the coming-of-age ceremony is held. Chunying said, biting her red lips. What are you thinking about? He raised his hand and knocked Chunying on the head. Xiao Yan took out 4 jade bottles and jade rulers and handed them to the 4 of them. Use a jade ruler to dip the liquid in the jade bottle and apply it on my body. Be careful not to smear it on yourself. This liquid is very harmful to women. Is this really serious business? Chunying lowered her head shyly, and the other 3 women were also quite embarrassed. After patting their little hearts, the 4 girls picked up the jade bottle and applied the liquid in the jade bottle to Xiao Yan with delicate movements. For a moment, Xiao Yan felt as if he was in magma. The scorching temperature was constantly being released, and the burning feeling was like putting his body on the magma. After personally experiencing the efficacy of burning blood, the last flaw was repaired, and Xiao Yan suddenly figured it out. Relying on your years of experience in practicing fighting spirit and polishing your body, you have an epiphany. You understand the burning sky body refining technique / Chapter 43 Yao Lao laments, times have changed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xiao Yan's talent was so amazing that even an 8th grade alchemist like him was frightened by the many shocks. Do-chi training and fighting skills training all have a heaven-defying understanding. In medicine refining, for the first time, he can use his power like an arm and a finger, but that burning blood is a 4th grade medicinal liquid. The disadvantage of severe pain after using burning blood was actually resolved by Xiao Yan. This terrifying understanding became the last straw that broke Yao Lao's ability to endure. Although Xiao Yan knew the refining materials and had seen the finished product for some time, but if you rely on the materials and a gentle sniff of the investigation, You can deduce the effect of the prescription in a short time and figure out a way to resolve it. Doesn't this further illustrate that one's understanding is contrary to heaven? This is really the reason why Yao Lao feels extremely shocked. The rapid improvement of physical quality caused Xiao Yan's body to rapidly absorb the energy of heaven and earth. The strength of the 5-star fighters began to break through again, seeing more and more energy from heaven and earth gathering together. The 4 Chinese girls covered their lips with their jade hands in surprise. The 4 of them looked at each other. Each placed the empty jade bottles in their hands beside the bed, walked off the bed lightly with hands and feet, and exited the bedroom. The next morning, Xiao Yan felt refreshed and practiced star transformation and reincarnation calamity in the small courtyard. 2 completely different concepts of exerting force made Xiao Yan feel that something was missing during practice. The stars become a little more focused, too strong. After one blow, you will fall into a period of air power. If a blow is difficult to succeed, it will easily be defeated by someone's counterattack. The tribulation of reincarnation relies entirely on force, which is too soft. Completely relying on the opponent's strength. If the opponent's attack is extremely strong or extremely fast, exceeding the upper limit of the borrowed strength, it will also be restricted. After thinking about it all night, Yao Lao finally came to a realization. In the past, he was very surprised by Xiao Yan's self-cultivation physique and could not figure out what it was. Now, although he still doesn't know what Xiao Yan's physique is, he has some insights into the characteristics of his physique, comprehension, a heaven-defying understanding. Xiao Yan's genius has reached the point where it can't be improved, so he can only know the subtleties. It is really unrealistic for me to make Xiao Yan suffer. The soul perception revealed through the ring, and looking at Xiao Yan who was enjoying the service of the little maid again, Yao Lao couldn't help but sigh. Times have changed. Like him and Feng Xian, the process of cultivating to become a powerful Dozun was full of difficulties, and they experienced life and death crises several times. Although there were many geniuses at the same time, without the training he and Feng Xian had, they would either perish or disappear into oblivion. Fighter, 6 stars. Xiao Yan clenched his fists, excitement in his eyes unbearable. It only takes a few days to formally practice the technique, but it is such a speed. I believe that if he really sees Qinglian's earth heart fire and fallen heart flame, it would be easy for him to fuse them together. This is thanks to the effect of my burning blood. After the maid left, Yao Lao's voice sounded in Xiao Yan's heart. Xiao Yan smiled and shook his head. Teacher, you have the nerve to say that. If I hadn't noticed that the blood-burning medicine was very violent, and used the fighting spirit cultivation method for many years to guide the blood-burning medicine to refine the body, I'm afraid the Xiao family would have screamed like a slaughtering pig all night long. Damn it, you really have incredible understanding. You can do this. Yao Lao couldn't help but cursed in his heart. I'm just testing you. Yao Lao coughed lightly. If you don't suffer a little, how can you surpass people of the same level in strength, and how can you integrate different fires in the future? Xiao Yan smiled and said nothing. It is true that the Do Master level fusion of different fires has a narrow escape, but what if the strength is upgraded to Do Wang or Do Emperor? After a significant increase in strength, coupled with the body training techniques, modified and refined burning techniques, and the auxiliary items upgraded to another level, he didn't believe it would ever be the same again. Yao Lao said seriously, you have used up the burning blood. If you want to maintain this cultivation speed, you have to buy new materials. I have the coagulation powder refined yesterday. It's simple. I'm about to go to the miter auction house. Xiao Yan smiled slightly. Yao Lao said doubtfully, I remember that the Xiao family also has a market. Why don't you let the Xiao family sell it? Leave it to the Xiao family for sale. Now I can search for the blood-burning materials, but for things like beast fire, the Xiao family can't do anything. Xiao Yan shook his head. After he is promoted to Do Emperor, the Xiao family's strength will soar due to the effect of Do Emperor's bloodline. Instead of fighting for life and death now, it would be better to drink tea, maintain health, and live a stable life for a few more years. Moreover, the Soul Palace has probably reached out to the Jiaoma Empire. With him, a genius is already extremely dazzling, so there is no need to give people in the Soul Palace any more eye drops. The tragedy of the Xiao family will never happen again, Yao Lao said slowly. What you said makes sense. It will take many moves to hand it over to the Xiao family, and it will eventually have to be returned to Mitre Auction House. After you leave the Mitre Auction House, I will take you to the Warcraft Mountains. It's time to hand over the fighting skills of the Xuanzhong ruler to you. So fast. Xiao Yan was a little surprised. Now he is only a 6-star fighter, and he is now starting to learn the flame-devouring wave ruler. Even though the technique has been promoted to the lower level of the Xian level, I am afraid that it is still a bit reluctant to use the earth-level fighting skills. Fast. Your breakthrough in strength is called fast. It has been less than 10 days since you started practicing the technique. Yao Lao was speechless. According to the training plan he made for Xiao Yan, it really wasn't that fast, but with the current development, if he doesn't take out the flame-devouring wave ruler, in a few days, it will probably be nothing to Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan raised his hand and touched the flame mark hidden under his black hair. He is a genius in his own right. After reaching the level of Doja, without any resource support, it took a few months to practice and improve to a 4-star Doji. With the low-level Huang-level skills, nowadays, the understanding is incredible. If there is no big change, just call the Jiaoxi the understanding. After asking the maids to practice well at home, Xiao Yan walked out of the house and went straight to the Mitre Auction House. A moment later, Mitre Auction House, waiting room, jade bottles are neatly placed in a tidy room. Inside the jade bottles are the blood coagulation powder refined by Xiao Yan. The medicinal paste is blood red, and a rich aroma wafts out from it, making people feel relaxed and happy. Looking at the medicine paste in the jade bottle, Gu and I, as a second-grade alchemist, couldn't help but feel surprised. It was such a high-quality healing medicine. Although even this value is not too high, the blood coagulation powder in this room is still a big profit for Mitre Auction House. The old gentleman's alchemy skills are really admirable. He refined so many high-quality healing medicines in one day. I'm afraid they can be compared with the medicine refining abilities of some 5th-grade alchemists. Once again, he was deeply impressed. Glancing at the jade bottle in his hand, Gu and I admired it sincerely. Chapter 44, The Method of Controlling Animals, The Fire Seal of Controlling Animals. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Under the black robe, the old voice smiled faintly and said, I wonder if Mitre Auction House is willing to cooperate with me to sell this coagulation powder. From now on, I will be responsible for refining this coagulation powder, and you will be responsible for selling and providing medicinal materials. The old gentleman is really too polite. Being able to cooperate with an alchemist like you is something Mitre Auction House can only hope for. The jade hand carefully picked up a jade bottle, and Yafei's eyes were filled with bright waves, and she smiled sweetly. Xiao Yan took out a piece of paper from his arms, handed it to Yafei, and said with a smile in an old voice, Please help me prepare some medicinal materials on it. Taking the paper diligently, Yafei glanced at it quickly and agreed with a smile. After the last lesson, she didn't dare to show any hesitation now. However, looking at the white palm sticking out of the black robe, a flash of surprise flashed across Yafei's beautiful eyes. Although he has an old voice, he has a pair of clean hands like a young man. How does this alchemist take care of his skin? I don't care how you sell it, but what I want is best prepared as quickly as possible. As soon as Yao Lao finished speaking, Xiao Yan looked through the black cloak and stared closely at the mature beauty next to him who was as charming as a vixen. After hearing Yao Lao's words, Yafei's pretty face was slightly happy. Old sir, don't worry, Mitre Auction House will do its best. Waved to a maid, Yafei handed her the paper and then ordered her to prepare quickly. In this cooperation with Ningxue powder, Mitre Auction House is responsible for providing the medicinal materials and selling it. The old gentleman will get 70% of the money earned, and the remaining 30% will be used by Mitre Auction House for management. Old gentleman, what do you think? Okay. Yao Lao smiled and nodded. After hearing this affirmative answer, Yafei secretly breathed a sigh of relief. After the matter was settled, Xiao Yan took the teacup next to him, took a sip, and waited quietly. As for Yafei, who was wearing a pair of black stockings on her slender legs, he tried not to look at her too much. After a while, Yafei finally relaxed completely as she looked at the man in black robe who walked out of the hall with a large pile of materials. Satisfied, the plump and exquisite body was huddled in the chair, looking like a curled-up fox. The lazy look had a strange charm. With her head pressed against the cold back of the chair, Yafei smiled bitterly and shook her head. This old gentleman is not low-level in refining medicine. Why is he refining such low-level things? On the side, Gu and I also had the same expression. He raised his hand and twisted the neji containing a large amount of coagulation powder. Alchemists are also human beings. If they refine so many things so quickly, their grade will naturally not be too high. Yafei pursed her rosy mouth and said, I feel like last time the old gentleman bought medicine cauldrons, low-level medicinal materials, and fire. He seemed to have gained a new disciple. Are you saying that this coagulation powder was refined by his disciple? Gu and I was startled, and Xian even shook his head. This is impossible. Even our best alchemist, Dan Wang Furukawa, who is learning alchemy for the first time in the Gemma Empire, would not be able to refine that amount in one day, and it is still a high-quality product. If there really is such an alchemist, his talent is truly incredible. Gu and I exclaimed. Talent? Don't we just have a genius in Wutan City? Yafei curled her lips. Gu and I naturally knew who Yafei was talking about, and nodded in admiration. The young master Xiao Yan of the Xiao family actually broke through and became a fighter a few days ago. He is only 11 years old. This speed of cultivation is really incredible. It is rare in the Gemma Empire for hundreds of years. Thinking of the age gap between the two, Yafei held her cheeks in her hands and sighed softly. She was still in the fighting spirit stage, and it was really irritating to compare people to each other. After leaving Mitre Auction House, Xiao Yan walked into a dark alley, and with the use of Yao Lao's spatial power, he suddenly disappeared into the alley quietly. When Xiao Yan opened his eyes again, he had once again arrived outside the cave where he had rested in the Warcraft Mountains. Yao Lao's figure floated out. This place is too conspicuous. If we want to practice that fighting skill, we must first find a suitable place. Taking off the black robe he was wearing, Xiao Yan shrugged, can't you just take me there? Little guy, don't be dissatisfied. Being able to take you directly to the Warcraft Mountains has saved you a lot of energy. Yao Lao raised his head and glanced around. This is the outskirts of the magical beast mountain range. There are many mercenaries and magical beasts. The people practicing earth-level fighting skills are too conspicuous. We have to enter the Warcraft Mountains. Although the Warcraft there are stronger, there are not a large number of mercenaries who will go deep, and because the powerful Warcraft controls a territory, as long as you choose a hidden place, you will generally not be noticed. You really need to find a better place to practice. Xiao Yan nodded, twisted the ring, took out the Xian Zhong ruler from his back, and looked forward attentively. Here comes the monster, the first-level monster. It's the same rules as last time. I won't take action unless there is a life-or-death crisis. Yao Lao looked at Xiao Yan silently. While he was talking, a giant wolf appeared in Xiao Yan's sight. The giant wolf's body was fiery red, as if surrounded by flames, and its hair was as smooth as satin, shining with fiery light. The body is majestic and the limbs are strong, carrying wildness and strength. His eyes are sharp and cunning, revealing his fiery wildness and clever mind. The first-level monster, Blazing Wolf, is a good fire attribute monster. I can use it as a mount to take me to the inside of the Magic Beast Mountain range. Xiao Yan raised the corner of his mouth slightly and looked at the giant wolf with a smirk on his face. Listening to Xiao Yan's bold idea, Yao Lao reminded, Warcraft are extremely violent creatures. Generally, only a few lucky people can have the opportunity to gain their friendship and thus gain their loyalty. After Yao Lao finished speaking, Xiao Yan suddenly stepped on the ground with his feet and rushed out in an instant. Baji collapse. After breaking through to the 6-star fighter, his physical quality was tempered by burning blood. Xiao Yan's speed was more than doubled, and he instantly turned into a black shadow and came to the back of the Blazing Wolf and struck down with a powerful punch. The Blazing Wolf, which was several times larger than Xiao Yan, didn't react at all. As soon as his body sank, the wolf's head stuck to the ground. Little wolf, how about being my mount? From now on, follow me and enjoy the hot food and drink spicy food. Xiao Yan said seductively. stroking the mane of the blazing fire wolf with his hand, looking at Xiao Yan grinning, wishing he could eat Xiao Yan's blazing wolf. Yao Lao was amused. Can this be persuaded? Then there is a ghost. Xiao Yan punched the blazing wolf on the head, which calmed the blazing wolf. He changed his method and continued to persuade. 3 minutes later, Yao Lao glanced at the blazing wolf with several big bumps on his head. If we do it again, we can only see if the blazing wolf has a magic core. It'll be fine soon. Let's try one last time. Xiao Yan stroked the blazing wolf's hair and his eyes narrowed slightly. Based on your years of experience playing with warblers and walking dogs, you have an epiphany, and you understand the beast-controlling fire seal. Chapter 45 Mount Xiaohong, Yin and Yang Dual Flames. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Beast Control Flame Seal. Use fire attribute fighting spirit and soul power to draw runes and imprint the soul of the monster, thereby controlling the monster. Note, to activate beast fire and strange fire, the stronger the soul power of the activator, the weaker the monster, and the higher the probability of success. Xiao Yan smiled slightly. After all, he still had to practice it himself to get this practical truth. He had thought about this method of control in the past, but at that time, there were only yellow warblers, yellow dogs, and the like around me. My own strength was at the level of fighting spirit, and my soul power was far less powerful than it is now. I gave up after thinking for a moment. Domestic animals are just ordinary animals after all, and it would be bad if they couldn't bear it and died. Now that the fighting spirit has been transformed into fighting spirit, the soul power has been greatly improved, and there is still Xianhuang Yan and peach blossom fire in the body. Thinking of the old things again, everything falls into place. Xiao Yan took a deep breath, formed seals with his hands, and the Doji cyclone rotated rapidly, and the pure Do Qi inside it rushed out with a wisp of Xianhuang flame and peach blossom fire. 2 colors of flames, one yellow and one pink, danced like 2 elves in Xiao Yan's hands. As Xiao Yan's handprint changed, the 2 flames began to condense. They rotated between Xiao Yan's hands, and then turned into a gorgeous flame sigil. This talisman is like a real flame, burning blazingly and releasing scorching heat. What is this? Yao Lao looked a little strange. Beast Control Flame Seal. Xiao Yan shouted deeply, controlled the flame talisman with his palm, and suddenly smacked it towards the center of Blazing Wolf's eyebrows. The flame talisman penetrated into the Blazing Wolf's head, and Xiao Yan clearly felt a trace of resistance. However, this resistance was extremely weak and almost disappeared in a flash. If it weren't for the amazing power of his soul, he really wouldn't be able to notice it. Thinking about it, the gap between this Blazing Wolf and him was too big, and after being beaten by him for a long time, he was already extremely weak and had no strength to resist at all. The Blazing Wolf shook his head, his eyes calmed down from the panic, and he climbed up with difficulty with all his limbs. Xiao Yan turned over and let him recover. He would have to go on his way later. Controlled. Yao Lao looked extremely surprised. There has never been a contract to control monsters. The physical fitness of the Warcraft is extremely strong. After relaxing for a while, he regained his energy and rubbed his head towards Xiao Yan affectionately, touching the huge wolf head. Xiao Yan smiled and said, "Now that you have become my mount, I must give you a name." Looking at the red hair on Blazing Wolf's body, Xiao Yan nodded slightly and said, "I'll just call you Xiaohong." Seeing Blazing Wolf nodding his head repeatedly and looking very satisfied, Yao Lao opened his eyes. This all works. Patting the Blazing Wolf on the head, Xiao Yan turned on the wolf and ran towards the depths of the Warcraft Mountains. The Blazing Wolf jumped with powerful limbs and quickly shuttled through the forest paths. Xiao Yan rode on its back, feeling the galloping power and hot body temperature from the monster, and his heart was filled with expectations for the future and adventurous spirit. Although the Warcraft is good, Xiao Yan is carrying a mysterious ruler that suppresses his fighting spirit. And his weight is much higher than that of an ordinary person. For a lone wolf, running long distances is really a severe test. Xiao Yan didn't give it too much trouble, and found a dozen more first-order monsters along the way to take turns. After the sky completely darkened, Xiao Yan stopped in the forest and let a dozen first-order monsters disperse to find something to eat. After resting for the night, he roasted 2 hares in the forest. The bonfire in the Warcraft Mountains is like a guiding light in the darkness. After a while, a group of people walked through the woods and came to the campfire. There were 5 people in this group, 3 men and 2 women. Seeing Xiao Yan, a young man, roasting rabbit alone, even the middle-aged man who was the leader was shocked. After a slight silence, the middle-aged man said with a smile, "Is my little brother also a mercenary? Why did he enter the Warcraft Mountains alone?" Xiao Yan raised his head slightly and smiled calmly, as if he was a very passionate young man. "While you are young, try your best to take advantage of the opportunity." Next to the middle-aged man, a girl with a pretty face who was over 189 years old said in a sweet and crisp voice, "Looking at you, you are not much older than me. I guess you are only in the fighting spirit stage. If you act like this, you will probably only fill the belly of the monster. How about that? Will you join our Bloody Battle Mercenary Group?" Our Bloody Battle Mercenary Group is a famous mercenary group in Qingshan Town. When you join, as long as you work hard, you will receive gold coins, martial arts, and fighting skills. It turned out to be the Blood War Mercenary Group. Xiao Yan raised his eyebrows slightly. This world is really small, but he actually encountered the 2 major mercenary groups in Qingshan Town, but if you think about it carefully, it's not surprising. We met the Wolf Head Mercenary Group before, probably near Qingshan Town. The mercenary group relies on Warcraft magic cores and medicinal materials to survive. They stay in the Warcraft Mountains almost all year round, so it is normal to encounter a Bloody Battle Mercenary Group. Linger, don't talk nonsense. Seeing that Xiao Yan's black robe was made of good quality, the middle-aged man lowered his head and scolded Xiao Yan, and then smiled at Xiao Yan and said, "Little brother, night is the peak time for monsters to appear. You are alone outside. It's actually a bit dangerous. Why don't we get together first and take care of each other? Uncle is right. My rabbit has just been roasted. You guys came at the right time. Please sit down." Xiao Yan smiled and asked everyone to sit down and eat the meat. Traveling thousands of miles is worse than traveling thousands of books. Although he has an incredible understanding, Xiao Yan does not feel that he is superior to others. Although the strength of the Blood War Mercenary Group is low, their experience are not comparable to that of this young master who has been staying at home all year round. These seemingly ordinary little people, sometimes some casual words, often have an enlightening effect. It was like the apple that fell on someone's head. There is a flame among the strange fires, named Yin and Yang twin flames, ranked 21st, it was born in the void of the universe, with flames of 2 colors, one black and one white, intertwined together, swimming like Yin and Yang fishes. Yin and Yang are the laws of nature, the origin that breeds all things in the world, and the twin flames of Yin and Yang born in the origin are one of the flame forms transformed by the origin, full of the dual power of life and death. Xianhuang Yan has had an epiphany, and the 10,000 beast spirit fire is in the creation stage. A small goal for Xiao Yan now is to understand the Yin and Yang dual flames. The path taken by his great Burning Jew now is very different from that of Burning Jew. Compared with the single promotion method of Burning Jew, the Great Burning Jew can also allow the cultivator's fire attribute fighting spirit to be powerful enough to surpass the level of Emperor Yan. In fact, techniques like the Great Burning Technique do not necessarily require practitioners of fire attribute fighting spirit. The strange fires also have attributes other than the fire attributes such as Nether Poison Fire, Bone Spirit Cold Fire, and 9 Dragons Thunder Gang Fire. There are no high or low attributes in this world. Burning Jew and Great Burning Jew, which are a combination of many different fires with different abilities, also confirm the principle that Yin alone cannot create, Yang alone cannot grow, and Yin and Yang combine to create everything. However, Xiao Yan started from his own conditions and followed the path of cultivation starting from the fire attribute fighting spirit. Chapter 46 Invincible Group Battle Reincarnation Tribulation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After sitting down, a green-dressed woman named Qingxin from the Blood War Mercenary Group took out the prey they had washed and skinned, and skillfully grilled it. After exchanging names and getting to know each other briefly, we started to become more flexible. During the conversation, the middle-aged man named Ka Gang probed Xiao Yan's purpose of coming to the Warcraft Mountains without leaving any trace. Xiao Yan was trying to earn gold coins and took out a few medicinal herbs picked today. Give a complete answer. In this way, Kagang finally eliminated the last suspicion, and several people started chatting with each other. During the chat, Xiao Yan got a piece of information. The men of the Wolf-Head mercenary group actually discovered the bodies of Hemen and others, and are searching for the murderer who killed Hemen and others. Xiao Yan couldn't help but feel funny in his heart. There were no traces, so how could they find it? Hey, you little guy, don't get too happy too early. I noticed someone from the Wolf-Head mercenary group is rushing towards you. Maybe they can recognize you. Yao Lao's voice suddenly sounded in Xiao Yan's heart, and he chuckled. People from the Wolf-Head mercenary group. Xiao Yan concentrated on sensing, but his soul power was much inferior to that of Yao Lao. After he sensed it, he could already hear the sound of horse hooves in his ears. 7 or 8 figures riding unicorns flew toward the forest light at a furious pace. It's really unlucky that I met this annoying guy. Kagan was slightly stunned and frowned. Qingye smiled bitterly at Xiao Yan and said, "It's Gan Mu, the second commander of the Wolf-Head mercenary group. His strength has just exceeded the 7-star fighter. As I said just now, the third commander of the Wolf-Head mercenary group is dead. The Wolf-Head mercenary group has been going crazy lately and is always looking for trouble for us." Qingling, who was originally quite lively, shivered and hid behind Ka Gang, as if she was very afraid of Ganmu. While he was talking, the men from the Wolf-Head mercenary group came on horseback. Their eyes swept over the people in Kagang and quickly locked on Xiao Yan. To be precise, it was the thick Xian Zhong ruler behind Xiao Yan's back. He Meng and others died strangely. Although the murderer's face was not seen, according to the marks on the body, the other party clearly used a heavy, flat weapon. This ruler is a perfect match. He retracted his gaze and scanned the rest of the body. After discovering a familiar face, Ganmu grinned and said, "Hey, isn't this Kagang from the Bloody Battle mercenary group? What have you gained by entering the Warcraft Mountains this time?" Kagan frowned and ignored him. Seeing that Kagan didn't say anything, Ganmu didn't mind either. He glanced at the petite Qingling with twinkling eyes, licked his tongue evilly, and said with a smile, "Linger is getting more and more energetic. Uncle, my favorite thing is little girls like you. Huh, the taste is so good. Don't be alone in the future, hee. Xiao Yan was a little surprised. He couldn't be captured and raised. How could he be so young? To be honest, Qing Xian, who has a gentle temperament and a graceful figure, is more interesting. After some joking, Ganmu looked at Xiao Yan with his deep eyes like an eagle, and asked gloomily, "Kagang, is this person also from your Bloody Battle mercenary group?" Xiao Yan. Kagan was stunned by the question, pondered for a moment, and sneered, "We have so many mercenaries in the Bloody Battle mercenary group, do we have to let you know about each one of them?" "So, this kid is a member of your Bloody Battle mercenary group?" Ganmu laughed twice, as if he had discovered some shocking secret. "I have long felt that the people who dare to kill our Wolf-Head mercenary group here must be one of the other 2 major mercenary groups in Qingshan town. In comparison, your Bloody Battle mercenary group is slightly stronger and more likely. It turns out it was really your Bloody Battle mercenary group that did it." Ka Gang said with a livid face, "Ganmu, don't slander anyone. Our Bloody Battle mercenary group has never killed anyone from the Wolf-Head mercenary group, or provoked anyone from the Wolf-Head mercenary group. Kagang, stop pretending." Ganmu didn't believe it at all. Many of the men led by Heming died under heavy and flat heavy weapons, which is very consistent with that kid's ruler. Ka Gang turned his head and glanced at Xiao Yan's delicate cheeks. He didn't believe a word of Ganmu's words, and said with a red face, "I think you just fell in love with this little brother's weapon. You talk so much. What are you doing? How old is he that he can kill Herman?" The people from the Bloody Battle mercenary group didn't believe it either. Xiao Yan entered the Warcraft Mountains alone, and is still alive now. He is already lucky. Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter what you say. Ganmu drew out his long knife and said with a sinister smile, "I'll find out after I torture him." He didn't quite believe it, but he couldn't believe what kind of opportunity this young man in black robe got. "Ganmu, do you really want to take action? Kagan's face hardened and he also drew his weapon. Could it be that Ganmu used his head to wipe out the bloody battle mercenary group? Gan Muleng shouted coldly, if you don't want me to do anything, just tie up this young man in black robe. Just as the two sides were locked in a stalemate, Xiao Yan slowly stood up and said, Uncle Kagan, he is right. I killed Hemeng and his mercenaries. What? The members of the bloody battle mercenary group looked at Xiao Yan in shock. I heard that there were dozens of mercenaries including Hemeng who died. How old did Xiao Yan look like? One person killed them all. It's impossible to have such strength even if you cultivate it in your mother's womb. While the members of the Blood War mercenary group were stunned, Xiao Yan suddenly stepped on the ground with the sole of his foot, releasing powerful force to the ground, and there was an explosion. The strong wind caused sparks to fly from the campfire nearby, and Xiao Yan suddenly turned into a black shadow and shot towards Ganmu like lightning. The black shadow flashed over the horse's head in an instant, his body spun, and his right foot kicked Ganmu hard under the chin, under the strong force. There was a click, and Ganmu's neck suddenly stretched a lot, his body drew a parabola in mid-air, and hit the ground heavily. Second captain. The two elite mercenaries around Ganmu saw their captain being knocked away, and their reactions were far beyond their usual 120-point sensitivity. He jumped on the horse's back and used his fighting skills to draw the sword. The sword seemed to carry the power of splitting mountains and cracking monuments, attacking Xiao Yan directly. Although Ganmu's men are few, they all have the strength of a 4-star fighter. Pay attention. Yao Lao reminded him because he was afraid that Xiao Yan was young and did not know the importance. The corners of Xiao Yan's mouth raised slightly. Do you know what is the invincible reincarnation calamity in a group battle? Facing the two men's powerful swords, Xiao Yan made a circle with his hands, reincarnation tribulation. That the two mercenaries were shocked to see that the simple sword in their hands seemed to be sent into Xiao Yan's hands, and the terrifying force carried by the sword was like a mud cow entering the sea. Break the world. Xiao Yan shouted low and used his strength to fight. In an instant, it was as if he had 2 extra arms, and he waved his hand and slapped the two mercenaries. Chapter 47 Pure Yang Palm, Ward Off Evil Spirits and Scorching Sun. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The terrifying energy was released, and with a bang, the two mercenaries seemed to be struck by sharp swords, splitting into 2 halves on the spot. Amidst the blood mist, the remaining power of his energy bombarded the mercenaries behind the 2 men. The moment the bloody smell appeared, the 4 mercenaries felt the danger of death. They suddenly lifted the reins and made the wildebeest leap high to resist the terrifying attack. The horses chirped, and the bodies of the 4 wildebeests instantly split into 2. The 4 mercenaries rolled over and fell on the grass, looking in shock at their brother who seemed to have died under his own fighting skills. The 4 of them looked at each other. 2 of the mercenaries stepped back side by side, and the other 2 mercenaries tightened their swords in their hands. Pay with your life for our brother. That the bloody environment made the 2 of them look like crazy wolves, and they attacked Xiao Yan fiercely. Their eyes were full of murderous intent and determination. Reincarnation tribulation. Xiao Yan made a circle with his hands again, grabbed a mercenary's arm with one hand, and pulled hard. Star transformation and reincarnation tribulation are not simply fighting skills, but more like a theory and mental method. Wolf Fang breaks the sky and breaks the world are the specific moves. For the 2 mercenaries who had lost their minds, he could easily solve them even without using specific moves. Seeing their brothers who had once again died due to their own fighting skills, the last 2 mercenaries who wanted to escape trembled. Even when facing the most terrifying second-level monsters, they have never been afraid. How to practice the continuous use of fighting skills. Using other people's fighting skills and borrowing swords to kill people, what kind of skill is that? If you have the ability, rely on your own strength to defeat us. Seeing the mercenary shouting, Xiao Yan smiled faintly. You deduced based on your own fighting skills experience in using fire attribute fighting energy. You have an epiphany and you understand the pure yang palm. Pure yang palm, the most yang and strong palm method, which has strong restraint against evil and strange attributes. Move, ward off evil spirits and the scorching sun. Then I'll satisfy you. Xiao Yan let out a deep cry, and the vortex of fighting in his body rotated rapidly. The pure fighting energy was transformed through the meridians. When it was transported out of the meridians, a layer of extremely strong yang qi was suddenly filled on Xiao Yan's palm, like the essence. Generally, want away evil spirits and the scorching sun. As Xiao Yan pushed with both hands, a powerful palm force shot towards the two mercenaries whose bodies were close together. The power of the pure yang palm was like the sun shining brightly, and the extremely hot temperature suddenly caused a huge group of sparks to appear in the forest, which exploded with a bang. If he knew that he would end up like this, I am afraid that the mercenary would rather fight to the death with his brother. The previously arrogant wolf-head mercenary group was completely wiped out in just a few breaths, especially since the person who took action was just a young man in black robes. This kind of fantasy made Decagang and others stunned. It's just that there are only a few magic cores, poor guy. After collecting his trophies, Xiao Yan broke the dead silence with his complaints. The people in Kagan finally recovered from the shock and saw the mess in the distance, especially the charred land where the two elite mercenaries were reduced to ashes. Alas, it seems that we are all blind. Shaking his head, Kagan said with a wry smile. Now it seems that this young man possesses terrifying talents that are unimaginable to ordinary people. This heaven-defying talent gave him terrifying strength that was somewhat inconsistent with his age. Qingling, who was hiding behind Kagan, still didn't come back to her senses. Don Muna was an opponent that even his father could not defeat. But Xiao Yan defeated a mercenary team of the wolf-head mercenary group with just a few moves. The shock is self-evident. He had no idea that this young man, who was only a few years older than him, could actually have such strength. Remembering that she had shamelessly invited her to join the bloody mercenary group, a self-deprecating smile appeared on Qingling's pretty cheeks for the first time. Thinking about it, his strength alone could be equal to most of the bloody battle mercenary group, not to mention Ka Gang and the others. Even Yao Lao was shocked by Xiao Yan's move. After a few days of practice, Xiao Yan seemed to have used his method of refining medicine in a brand new form of fighting skills. The two mercenaries' deaths were not unjust at all thanks to the fighting skills driven by the Xuanhuanjian level strange fire fighting energy. It seems we have to change places temporarily. Xiao Yan smiled harmlessly. Kagan will not be fooled by this harmless smile now. After smiling awkwardly, he ordered people to pack their things. The Warcraft forest at night is already extremely dangerous, and the smell of blood will continuously attract Warcraft, doubling the danger again. After a moment, he put his things away, and just when everyone was about to leave the forest, Xiao Yan's face suddenly became serious. A lot of auras, another wolf-headed mercenary group, and a strong fighting master. What? Kagan was stunned for a moment, and his face turned pale. If it is a strong fighting master, it is Mu Shi from the wolf-head mercenary group. He has just made a breakthrough recently. Uncle Kagan, let's run away before they come here. Qingling said nervously. It's too late. Xiao Yan said lightly. Just as Xiao Yan finished speaking, a large number of mercenaries came from all directions. There are many figures, probably hundreds of them. Moose Snake rode a wildebeest and walked slowly out from the crowd of mercenaries. The explosion just happened here. He glanced around, and when he keenly saw the source of the bloody aura, Mu Shi's face suddenly darkened. Ganmu. Just the members of your bloody mercenary group can kill my second captain. Mu Shi's sharp eyes looked like poisonous snakes at the men in Kagan who were wearing mercenary badges. Xiao Yan stepped forward and said, no need to talk nonsense. I killed your 3rd Regiment commander and 2nd Regiment commander. Since you want to rob people and things, you have to weigh your own strength. You. Looking at the young man in black robe who was several years younger than his son, Mu Shi's eyes suddenly shrank. If Gan Mu's body hadn't been lying on the ground separated by the leader, who beat Mu Shi to death, he wouldn't have believed that the two major teams of the wolf-head mercenary group were actually destroyed by a young man. After calming down, Mu Shi looked at Xiao Yan ecstatically, as if looking at a moving golden mountain. It seems that you have had a lot of opportunities. Xian-level skills and Xian-level fighting skills are probably just the beginning. Hand them over. For a mercenary like him who started from the ground up, even now, his martial arts and fighting skills are still his fatal shortcomings. If he can possess advanced martial arts and fighting skills, with his talent, he will definitely not be just the leader of a small mercenary group in Qingshan town. Chapter 48, Reincarnation Tribulation, Broken Sky. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Kagan's rough hands tightly grasped his weapon. Xiao Yan, I'll stop them. You pick a direction and rush out with Linger and the others to report to the bloody battle mercenary group. Mu Shi laughed loudly. Everyone in our wolf head mercenary group is here. Surrounded by more than 100 mercenaries, do you think he can break out? Even if this kid is a strong fighting master, he will die today. Here. Pay with your life for my mercenary brothers. Kagan swallowed. Mu Shi was right. Even if Xiao Yan was a fighting master, he would have absolutely no hope of escaping when faced with the siege of more than 100 mercenaries. Who would have thought that the Wolfhead mercenary group would be so cautious in order to take revenge, and would directly give away all their family wealth? Comparing the number of people. Xiao Yan sneered. Mu Shi, who was confident of winning, looked at Xiao Yan with interest. Can you still transform into a human being? I can't change people, but I can still call some monster pets. Xiao Yan blew a loud whistle. Roar! That the deafening roars of beasts sounded one after another from all directions. The experienced Ka gang judged these monsters from their voices and murmured in astonishment. Fire wolves, gale leopards, flaming lions, there are at least a dozen first-order monsters. That the sudden attack, even though the wolf-head mercenary group was quite elite, was caught off guard by the monster that jumped in front of them. The beast roared loudly, and its screams resounded throughout the dense forest. The blazing wolf pounced out like lightning, with violent power and ferocious roar, and its sharp claws directly took the lives of the mercenaries. Other monsters also took similar actions, attacking the mercenary encirclement from all directions. Looking at the scattered surroundings that were immediately attacked, Mu Shi's face turned gloomy to the extreme. In a short period of time, no less than 30 people in his mercenary group died. Although the mercenaries immediately entered a fighting state after being stunned, the warcraft was much more powerful than humans in melee combat due to its naturally strong body. Even if he could kill these monsters, the wolf-headed mercenary group he had spent half his life building would be finished. You have also obtained the method of controlling beasts. Mu Shi gritted her teeth and looked at Xiao Yan. As long as I kill you, I believe these monsters will be affected to a certain extent. As long as I kill you, your opportunities will be mine. Give me all your strength to capture this guy. This guy may have some earth-level skills. A sinister smile appeared on Mu Shi's face, and she suddenly opened her throat and shouted loudly. Earth-level cultivation technique. As soon as these 4 words were heard, many mercenaries in the Wolf-head mercenary group no longer wanted to deal with the monsters. After a slight silence, someone finally couldn't bear the temptation of the earth-level cultivation technique, which only existed in legends, and rushed towards Xiao Yan. World of Warcraft will let the brothers bear more pressure for the time being, and snatching the earth-level skills is more important. In fact, Mu Shi had no idea what kind of treasure Xiao Yan had, but what he wants is the current effect. Under the siege of a large number of monsters, the mercenaries of the Wolf-head mercenary group were bound to suffer heavy casualties. It was better to use it to consume Xiao Yan's fighting spirit so that he could benefit. As long as he is around, sooner or later a larger and stronger mercenary group will be created. He couldn't deal with more than a dozen monsters, but as a 1-star fighter with the wind attribute, it wasn't too difficult for him to escape. Well done. Xiao Yan laughed loudly, and then the reincarnation calamity started. In the Invincible group battle, Xiao Yan used his strength to fight, and the first wave of mercenaries that surged up all died in the hands of his own people. You have used reincarnation tribulation many times, you have an epiphany, you have understood the move. Shatter the sky. Shattered sky, use the opponent's attack to form a special force field, and then detonate the attack. Seeing Xiao Yan, who looked like a god of death coming to the world, the mercenaries couldn't help but feel a little timid. This was even more powerful than a World of Warcraft. Whoever can kill him, I will let him be the first to practice the earth-level skills. Kill him again. Mu Shi roared and shouted while sitting on the horned horse. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, Mu Shi would have found it hard to believe that a young man could survive the siege of his wolf-headed mercenary group with ease. Unable to figure out the details of Xiao Yan, Mu Shi could only attribute the reason to the terrifying opportunity he got, and maybe he really had a land-level skill. While thinking this, Mu Shi's determination to hunt Xiao Yan became even stronger. Kill! The mercenaries shouted in unison, cheering themselves up before rushing towards Xiao Yan again. Reincarnation Tribulation. Xiao Yan's arms were filled with light yellow fighting spirit, his movements were soft and slow, and his palms connected everyone's attacks were guided by Xiao Yan, and a whirlwind suddenly formed and came out. Countless people were floating in the air, their bodies spinning uncontrollably between the circles drawn by Xiao Yan's hands. The mercenaries wanted to escape, but they could not break free from this invisible force. They seemed to be stuck in a quagmire. The more they struggled, the deeper they fell. Shattered sky. Following Xiao Yan's deep shout, terrifying power exploded in the mercenary's body. There was a bang, and blood spattered, turning into corpses on the ground. Suffer death. Just when Xiao Yan eliminated the circle of mercenaries, a dark, snake-like mercenary was holding a dagger and his moves were extremely fierce. Although Samsara Jia is invincible in group battles, it will be restricted in the face of fast and flexible handovers. Xiao Yan stretched out his hand to touch the handle of the Xuanzhong ruler behind his back, and immediately changed his move, Star Change. The mercenary with the dagger was immediately forced back dozens of meters within a foot of the monument. Wolf fangs break through the air. The Doji cyclone rotates rapidly, the 8 meridians of Do Qi converge into the whirlpool, and explode with a single thought. A tyrannical force was released from the Xuanzhong ruler, and the energy as bright as a star pierced the sky. A row of mercenaries led by the dagger mercenary suddenly turned into blood mist, and a deep ravine spread several meters above the ground. Mu Shi took a breath of cold air, and at the same time there was something moving in her heart, and she continued to perform fighting skills. This kid must not have much strength now. Yellow-level fighting skills, Feng Xiangbu. Mu Shi breathed out slowly, and her body trembled slightly. The light blue fighting spirit quickly covered her body, and she let out a low drink. As Mu Snake's shout fell, a large amount of light green fighting energy suddenly emerged from his feet, and wisps of breeze gradually formed on his feet. With a sharp kick of his feet, Mu Snake's figure surged up. As fast as the wind, fighting energy surged in the body, and the light cyan fighting energy attached to the big knife in his hand, as if a layer of cyan energy film was attached to the blade. Wind blade dance. The broadsword in Mu Shi's hand danced wildly, and the afterimages of the green broadswords appeared one after another in front of him. It looked like a dense network of knives had formed in front of Mu Shi. This wind blade dance is the most advanced fighting skill that Mu Shi can master, and is at the lower level of Xian level. With this fighting skill, he has won the title of the strongest man in Qingshan town several times. It is also thanks to this fighting skill that the Wolf-Head mercenary group has grown to such a scale. Knowing how powerful Xian-level fighting skills are, Mu Shi is extremely thirsty for advanced techniques and fighting skills. Even if it comes at the cost of the destruction of the Wolf-Head mercenary group, it doesn't matter. Chapter 49, Practicing the Flame-Devouring Wave Ruler. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xingqian transformation gathers all the power of the whole body, and after one move, it will fall into a short period of overpowering. Facing Mu Shi's continuous sword shadow, Xiao Yan's soul perception could see through it, but he didn't have much strength in his hands to resist. With his keen perception, Xiao Yan used the extremely heavy Xianzhong ruler in his hand like a light wooden branch, while dodging left and right. It seemed like a funny move, but it actually defended Mu Snake's endless knife network. However, Xiao Yan was pushed back several steps one after another. Compared with the extremely ferocious momentum at the beginning, he was now very decadent. After suppressing a genius who killed more than a dozen mercenaries in an instant, Mu Shi looked behind Xiao Yan with sinister eyes. Aren't you tempted by the bloody battle mercenary group's earth-level skills? If you kill this person, you will also be qualified to practice earth-level skills. The continuous powerful attacks gave Xiao Yan a deep understanding of the shortcomings of his own fighting skills. His heaven-defying level of understanding allowed him to think carefully and come up with a result at this moment. You deeply understand the shortcomings of star changes and reincarnation, and you have an epiphany. You understand the void destruction Wolf King seal. The void is destroyed, focus on defense, be calm and strong. The cyclone disperses and the air is as full as empty, and the sea accepts all rivers and stores them. Stand firm with your legs in a double clamp position, break up the moves when you see them, stop the attack and then counterattack, focusing on defense. Whether the counterattack after the force is released can produce sufficient power depends on the user's own fighting spirit. Move, Wolf King Seal. After Mu Shi finished speaking, Ka Gang said with an ashen face, "The bloody battle mercenary group, how could they be the ones who stabbed their friends in the back?" Most of the rest of the bloody battle mercenary group also looked angry, but only one man in white robe quietly started to activate his fighting spirit. Although Xiao Yan knew about this bloody battle mercenary group, he did not take it lightly. His soul sense was always paying attention to their movements. "It's impossible for me to practice yellow-level skills all my life." Mulan roared and shouted, with golden fighting energy in his palms. He slapped Xiao Yan on the back. There was a sinister curve in the corner of Mu Shi's mouth. In the face of absolute interests, no one could resist. Yao Lao sighed in his heart, "Xiao Yan, this little guy, is really smart, but after all, he is too young." Seeing the figure that turned into a golden light and rushed out, Kagan's eyes widened with anger and disbelief. "Mulan, that this is the genius of the Blood Battle Mercenary Group, a young one-star fighter, but he never expected to be such a despicable villain." At this time, it was too late to stop him. Ka Gang shouted and reminded, "Brother Xiao Yan, this is the Huang-level advanced fighting skill Vitra Palm. The palm power is extremely powerful and has the power to crack mountains and crack monuments. Be careful." Mu Shi saw that Mulan's attack was very close and quietly retreated. The counterattack of a dying lion is not so easy to face. The voice of the old guy in Kagan's ear made a sneer appear at the corner of Demulan's mouth. "If you know his fighting skills, can you defend him?" The fighting spirit was pushed to the extreme, and the golden light from Mulan's palm struck Xiao Yan's back. "Ha ha ha, suffer death. Hand over the earth-level kung fu." Ka Gang lowered his head sadly. Mulan's palm slap was so solid that even the extremely thick rock could not bear it. Xiao Yan's path to genius was probably cut off. Mu Shi was keenly aware of the strangeness of the matter. Why didn't Xiao Yan vomit blood? The void is destroyed. Xiao Yan shouted in his mouth, standing with his legs in a two-word clamp, and immediately released the power of the Vitra palm into nothingness. The Xuanzhong ruler in his hand was inserted into the ground, and his body turned suddenly. Xiao Yan raised his hand and grabbed Mulan's arm, suddenly pulled his body forward, and slapped a palm. Wolf King Seal. GG's counterattack was fully displayed by Xiao Yan. With the terrifying strength of Xiao Yan's six-star fighter, the force of his palm made the sound of bones shattering. Mulan's limbs drooped down weakly, and Xiao Yan threw him to the ground, bleeding from all his orifices. How is it possible? Mulan stared blankly at the sky. Until his death, he never figured out why he used all his strength to attack an unsuspecting person. Even if he was a strong fighting master, it was impossible for him to not be injured at all. Not to mention Mulan, Yao Lao, who was just about to take action, was also dumbfounded. What an incredible understanding this is. The siege by Mu Shi and other mercenaries forced Xiao Yan to constantly break through himself and figure out tricks one after another. Looking at Mulan with a dead look on his face, Ka Gang and others showed no mercy at all. Today Mulan can sneak attack Xiao Yan for profit, but tomorrow he may betray the mercenary group for profit. Mercenaries hate this kind of villain the most. Even Qingling, who had always admired Mulan, felt that she was blind for actually worshipping such a villain. The changes between the lightning and flint made Mu Shi say 3 good words in a row. The stronger Xiao Yan is, the greater the opportunities he will get. However, Mu Shi no longer had the desire to engage Xiao Yan in close combat, and silently retreated behind the mercenaries. Stay! Xiao Yan stamped his feet on the ground with all his strength, and with a bang, the air emitted bursts of sonic booms. Immediately, his figure was like a meteor chasing the moon, impacting Mu's snake. Stop him! Stop him for me! Looking at Xiao Yan, who was like a tiger descending from the mountain, Mu Shi's panic surged into his heart like a wave. He backed away while blocking the mercenaries around him. In a short period of time, 6 more human shields appeared in front of Mu Shi. facing many obstacles, Xiao Yan did not think of a way to jump over, but instead threw a simple punch. Baji, Sky Cannon. The majestic fighting energy was released like a flash flood. The 8 dark energies belonging to Baji Quan gathered together and burst out instantly. The wall of 6 mercenaries instantly collapsed under Xiao Yan's punch. The Baji Sky Cannon is more about being as powerful as thunder, giving the enemy no time to react. Mu Shi, who was slightly relieved, was hit by an extremely heavy force in the chest almost the moment Xiao Yan used the 8-pole Sky Cannon. With a bang, Mu Shi flew upside down like a kite with its string broken, the force carried by. His body crashed into a big tree and slid down the trunk. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, Mu Shi's face turned as pale as paper, and his body felt like it had been hit by a heavy hammer, and he could hardly stand still. Compared to the fatal attacks on his body, the fear in Mu Shi's heart surged like a torrent of river water. How could he have such great strength? How could a young man possess such great strength? Even if you start practicing from your mother's womb, it's impossible to have a fighting spirit and master several exquisite fighting skills at the same time. As Mu Shi died, Xiao Yan also took a deep breath. He was not particularly comfortable with the continuous high-intensity fighting skills. If the skill hadn't advanced to the Xian level, today's battle would never have been as easy as it is now. Following Mu Shi's death, the mercenaries of the Wolf Head mercenary group were in a state of panic. The mercenaries in the outer circle, who had tried their best to resist the attack of the monsters, now lost their backbone and could no longer find the strength to stop the invasion of the monsters. The remaining mercenaries were dispatched with lightning speed, and more than a dozen magical beasts surrounded Xiao Yan, as obedient as cats. Kagan and others couldn't believe their eyes. This was the mighty monster just now. After patting Xiao Hong's head, Xiao Yan turned to look at the blood war mercenary group and said with a faint smile, "The smell of blood here is too strong, let's say goodbye here." After confiscating the small treasury of the Wolf Head mercenary group, Xiao Yan mounted Xiao Hong and led a group of warcraft towards the Warcraft Mountains. Ka Gang has the illusion that if he meets Xiao Yan again, he believes that he has grown to a terrifying height that makes people look up to him. After running all night, the sight in front of Xiao Yan suddenly widened, and the sound of the rumbling waterfall made his face full of joy. After getting out of the last giant tree, Xiao Yan looked at the scene in front of him and couldn't help but take a deep breath. Within Xiao Yan's line of sight, a huge waterfall, like a silver horse, crashed down from a high mountain. The water hit the boulders and filled the sky with mist. On both sides of the waterfall, there were some steep mountain walls. On the mountain walls, there were naturally formed caves, which made Xiao Yan overjoyed. As long as some stones are piled at the entrance of these caves, the monsters can be kept out. You no longer have to worry about finding a ferocious poisonous snake coiled next to you after you wake up from practicing. Finally found the best place to practice. Opening his arms, Xiao Yan sniffed the air filled with moisture, murmured with a smile, and urged Xiao Hong to enter quickly. Entering the valley, Yao Lao's figure emerged, glanced around, and nodded slightly. This is indeed an excellent place for cultivation. After saying that, Yao Lao's handprint dance left a trail of afterimages, and some strange movement suddenly appeared in the space above the valley. After a while, this space became distorted. Space blockade. That the space squirmed more and more fiercely. Yao Lao's handprint suddenly changed, and he shouted in a deep voice. As the shouts fell, the surrounding space suddenly condensed, and then a strange wave quickly spread out, and finally enveloped the entire valley. Looking at the energy cover in midair, Xiao Yan raised his hand and touched his nose. I don't know what strength Yao Lao has recovered under the warmth of his terrifying fighting spirit. It seems that at least Dozome has strength. Don't be stunned, watch carefully, I'll leave it to you to fight at the ground level. Yao Lao reached out and grabbed it, and immediately took the Xian Zhong ruler, which weighed as much as 1,000 caddies, into his hand. Xian Zhongqi broke away, Xiao Yan's body lightened, his hands were folded in front of him, and he moved his shoulders. Yao Lao held a heavy ruler and slowly rose into the air. When he reached the center of the lake, he lowered his head and looked at the lake with sharp eyes. As soon as the sole of his foot stepped into the void, the figure instantly disappeared from the place and appeared under the huge waterfall. The black ruler in his hand glowed brightly, as if it had gathered endless energy, and he shouted in a low voice, "The flame-devouring wave ruler." Quickly, Yao Lao's figure rushed towards the waterfall like lightning. with a momentum like a tiger descending from the mountain, and the sound shook the heaven and the earth. Seeing that Yao Lao was about to hit the waterfall, an invisible force was released from the black ruler, instantly forming a huge red light. The red light flashed across the lake like lightning, setting off 10-meter-high water waves and crashing into the rushing waterfall. Boom! The explosion resounded through the valley, and the whole world seemed to be shaking. Huge water columns rose into the sky, and the scattered water mist instantly covered the entire lake. The view was completely blocked, and only the roar of the waterfall and the sound of thunder echoing in the valley could be heard. The strong wind roared, and the water vapor quickly dissipated, revealing the true appearance of the waterfall. On the huge rock behind the waterfall, a deep ravine is eye-catching. The edges of the gully were covered with tiny cracks, spreading like ivy. You carefully observe the performance of the Yenfen devouring wave ruler, and you have an epiphany. You have learned the low-level fighting skill of the earth level, the flame point devouring wave ruler. The flame devours the wave ruler, cultivates to great perfection, and can split mountains and break waves with every move of his hands and feet. Yao Lao returned the Xian Chong ruler to Xiao Yan and said with a smile, "The Earth-class fighting skills have been qualitatively improved compared to the Xian-class fighting skills. From today on, you must insist on chopping the water flow 300 times, no, 1,000 times. At that time, you will be able to initially use the flame-devouring wave ruler. However, with your fighting spirit, even if you want to use the blessed flame seal, you can only use it 3 times at most if you want to exert its strongest power. So, don't use it at will until the end." Xiao Yan's skills have advanced, but as his fighting spirit grows, the power of the flame-devouring wave ruler becomes stronger every time he displays it, and the consumption will naturally be greater. Training to chop water flow. Xiao Yan shook his head. No need to go to that trouble. Holding the handle of the Xuanzhong ruler with his palm, Xiao Yan suddenly pulled it up. Xiao Yan gently stroked the body of the ruler with his palm. At this moment, the fighting energy in his body suddenly fluctuated like boiling water. Watching Xiao Yan's movements, Yao Lao was shocked. Could it be that this little guy just watched it once and mastered the fighting skills of the Earth class? How is this possible? As the fighting spirit surged in Xiao Yan's body, the dark body suddenly turned fiery red, like a red-hot iron. For the first time, Xiao Yan's real Earth-level fighting skills were displayed, and Xiao Yan's face instantly turned red. The vortex of fighting continuously sent fighting energy to the meridians, completely infusing it into the Xuanzhong ruler. With a large amount of pure fighting energy poured into him, Xianzhong's body glowed with a dark yellow light, and the scorching temperature made the air around him become a little unreal, due to the evolution of his martial arts. Xiao Yan's fighting spirit today should be accurately called the Strange Fire Fighting Spirit, or more precisely, the Xianhuang Yan Strange Fire Fighting Spirit. As Xiao Yan realizes more strange fires, this strange fire fighting spirit will become stronger and stronger. Flame-devouring wave ruler. The corner of Xiao Yan's mouth cracked, and the heavy ruler in his hand crashed towards the waterfall like a sunset. In an instant, the scorching temperature caused the water mist to evaporate, and the huge waterfall was cut across again. However, Xiao Yan's current strength is far inferior to that of Yao Lao, and the water of the waterfall only stagnated for 2 seconds before continuing to flow down. It was far different from Yao Lao's, which stopped the waterfall for more than 20 seconds. Even so, Yao Lao was dumbfounded. Xiao Yan really learned this extremely rare ruler-level fighting skill after just watching it once. Chapter 50 Yao Lao's Puppet Body, Enlightened by the 3000 Flames. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The training of fighting skills had just begun, but with the blessing of heaven-defying understanding, it came to an abrupt end. After completing Yao Lao's training mission for the flame-devouring wave ruler, Xiao Yan began his own training. After organizing the cave into a comfortable training space, Xiao Yan took out the materials purchased from the miter auction house from the Neji. Yao Lao asked doubtfully, "Why do you have so many iron lumps?" "Teacher, you don't think that I have been refining low-level things like blood coagulation powder for miter auction house for a long time, right? I am going to make some puppets to complete this low-level repetitive work." Xiao Yan released the fighting energy of Xianhuang Yan in his hand, calcined the material in his hand, and drew the talisman path along the way. Yao Lao then remembered some iron puppets Xiao Yan made when he was a child. The leap from those little palm-sized things to the big puppets that refine elixirs is a bit big. If any puppet could refine elixirs, then the alchemist would have been worthless long ago. Xiao Yan shrugged his shoulders. The refining of Ningxue powder is roughly divided into 2 steps. The first is to calcine the medicinal materials to temper the medicinal power, and the second is to fuse the medicinal power. The whole process does not need to be coherent. It is indeed difficult for a puppet to complete the process of refining the medicine, but if there are a few more puppets, it will be much easier. Glancing at Yao Lao floating in the air, Xiao Yan smiled and said, "Teacher, why don't I join you? He's always floating like a ghost, which is quite scary." "Did you talk to the teacher like this?" Yao Lao laughed and cursed, and said leisurely, "Don't look at the fact that I am just a soul body now, and my strength is less than 20/30ths of what it was in its heyday. It is completely impossible to walk sideways in the Gemma Empire." "Not a problem. You'd better keep the iron not in your hand to make those medicine refining puppets." Yao Lao shook his head. As an 8th-level alchemist, he doesn't believe in the method of refining medicine. How can it be controlled by a puppet? It would be fine if we were just refining low-level coagulation powder. If we continue to improve in the future and the elixirs we refine are of higher and higher levels, then the alchemists will not be able to survive. Xiao Yan's dark eyes carefully calcined the mineral materials, drew the runes, and then began to assemble them, completing the entire process in one go. It took more than 2 days to complete Xiao Yan's refining puppet team. There are 5 puppets in the entire team. One of them is responsible for collecting the tempered medicinal liquid and the successfully refined coagulation powder. One of them is responsible for fusing the medicinal liquid, and the other 3 are for calcining medicinal materials. They look very similar. He is more than 1 meter tall, and his chest is equipped with magic cores of fire and wood attributes. The fire attribute magic core is the 2nd level, while the wood attribute magic core is only the 1st level. It looks like a pure iron man with many carvings on it. Seeing the finished product, Yao Boss was surprised and said with great interest, "Try making a furnace of coagulation powder." "Teacher, if I succeed, I have to accept a puppet body." Xiao Yan said with a smile, looking at the puppet that looked like a black skeleton. Yao Lao shook his head. "This puppet of yours is too ugly. It would be almost as beautiful if it were made more beautiful. The ones prepared for the teacher are naturally completely different from these medicine refining puppets and are guaranteed to be exquisite." Xiao Yan rubbed his hands. Yao Lao smelled a hint of conspiracy and changed the subject. "That will only happen if you, the medicine refining puppet, succeed. Just watch." Xiao Yan casually snapped his fingers, and immediately took out the medicinal cauldron, a portion of coagulation powder medicinal materials and dozens of jade bottles, and suddenly put his hands together. "Alchemy puppet, activate." The magic core flashed suddenly, and the energy contained in it immediately began to flow along the runes engraved on the body, and the 5 puppets were immediately activated. After scanning around the cave, I detected medicinal materials and medicine cauldrons, and immediately began to work in an orderly manner. Seeing the red light flowing on the puppet's body while refining the medicine, Yao Lao's eyes suddenly shrank until the Ningxue powder was about to be fused. Using runes of different bands to create flames of different temperatures. As long as the energy runs according to the runes, the things they refine will be of perfect quality every time. Xiao Yan smiled and nodded. Low-level medicine refining was actually just a matter of running a program. The reason why an alchemist of Lu Shi's level can barely supply the needs of the previous market, it's because once you master it, it's so simple. As the coagulated blood was packed into the jade bottle, Yao Lao had to admit that Xiao Yan had done it again. These medicine refining puppets work in an orderly manner, and the refining blood coagulation powder is perfect. They are simply a money-making machine at a heaven-defying level. After taking out the coagulation powder medicine given by Mitre Auction House and letting the medicine refining puppet continue its work, Xiao Yan stood up, stretched, and took off the bone inflammation ring on his hand. "Teacher, you must be willing to admit defeat. I will make you a puppet body first. Be more refined." Yao Lao returned to the bone flame ring, maintaining his final stubbornness. Xiao Yan knocked on the Na ring in his hand, took out a delicate puppet, and with a flick of his fingers, stuffed the bone flame ring into the puppet's belly. "Teacher, try releasing your soul power." The puppet trembled slightly, its eyes released a forest-white light, and Yao Lao moved his new body a little. "I didn't expect your puppet skills to be so good. It feels like a real body." Yao Lao nodded with satisfaction. Immediately afterwards, Yao Lao's movement stagnated, and he wondered, why does it just feel like something is not quite right? That with a blink of his eyes, Bone's spirit lingua suddenly condensed into a mirror in front of him. Looking at the exquisite hummingbird puppet in the mirror, Yao Lao was completely stunned. After a moment, Yao Lao flew into the air and pecked at Xiao Yan. "Is this the puppet body you prepared for the teacher? Don't you want it to be exquisite? Every feather of this puppet was carefully made by me. It is definitely the most exquisite among the puppets I made." Xiao Yan covered his head and laughed. Yao Lao slowly landed on Xiao Yan's shoulder and sighed. "Forget it, that's it. If it really has a human body now, it might be a bit eye-catching. You should have a good rest in the cave. I have to go out and get some air." Yao Lao flapped his wings and flew out of the cave. Looking at the stars in the sky, Xiao Yan rubbed his eyebrows. Making puppets was really not an easy job. Fortunately, he has extraordinary strength now, otherwise there is a real possibility of sudden death. At this time, Xiao Yan blinked and suddenly raised his head to look at the stars in the sky. The power of the stars, 3,000 flames of fire, the immortal body. A sudden flash of inspiration immediately made Xiao Yan's thoughts well up. Due to the lack of various conditions, the medicine refining puppet always takes a step-by-step approach when refining low-level things like coagulation powder. Shouldn't there be a transition process for me in such a huge project as Enlightenment of Strange Fire? It is somewhat difficult to recreate Xianhuang Yan's epiphany. Not every kind of strange fire has the effect of gentleness and Cui Jin's cultivation. Xiao Yan sat cross-legged at the entrance of the cave, bathing in the light of the stars, and he began to understand. Starting from Burning Dew 2.0, the practice of Burning Dew has been completely different. The biggest difference is that Xiao Yan's fire attribute fighting spirit needs to evolve to the alien fire level. And after continuous growth, he reached the level of Emperor Yan and eventually surpassed the level of Emperor Yan. There are 22 kinds of strange fires on the strange fire list, each with its own special ability. It is really a waste to merge them into Emperor Yan. Xiao Yan himself wants to become Emperor Yan and retain 22 kinds of strange fires. Secondly, the advancement of skills began to become diverse. In addition to integrating beast fire and strange fire to upgrade the skills, one's own epiphany of the skills and innovative skills are also a means of upgrading. Finally, Xiao Yan has another idea for the 22 preserved types of strange fires. 22 types of strange fires started to practice. Fire spirits were born, and each began to grow. The ancient Emperor Tuasha was just a weak alien fire at first, but after practicing the burning technique, he became a Do Emperor. Xiao Yan has absolute confidence in his heaven-defying understanding. If you combine the different fires with the exercises that suit you, your achievements will not be inferior to those of Tuasha ancient Emperor. However, there is no breakthrough yet. After flying out of the cave, Yao Lao's character would naturally not be breathable. Using the power of space, Yao Lao's figure disappeared directly into the valley and returned to the Xiao family in an instant. After determining the direction, Yao Lao easily penetrated the hole in a rockery with his exquisite body shape. He continued to dive downwards and came to a secret cultivation place that few people in the Xiao family knew about. Ever since he left the gate of hell, Shaolin had completely rejected the idea of leading his family to rise. He will stay in Wutan City, his ancestral homeland, and will not go anywhere, because he wants to survive as long as possible, become the Xiao family's last trump card, and ensure the future growth of his genius grandson. In 8 years, Shaolin, who had already good qualifications, practiced very effectively and turned around and became a 3-star fighting emperor. Who? Like a lion that had just woken up, Shaolin opened his eyes. The cyan fighting energy condensed on his cheeks, condensing into a ferocious lion's head at a speed visible to the naked eye. Your perception is not bad, it's just that the skills you practice are dragging you down. Yao Lao muttered, looking at the talking bird. Shaolin was surprised at first, and then suddenly realized the gap between the two, and said politely, "Who is the senior? You have a good grandson, so your luck is not bad." Yao Lao flapped his wings, and 3 beams of light fell in front of Xiao Lin. Seeing the 3 objects in front of him, Xiao Lin took a breath. Earth-level advanced skills, Tiangang wind-splitting technique, Earth-level advanced fighting skills, storms of different dimensions, Do Huang practice and breakthrough experience. Take out any one of these 3 items, not to mention in the Gemma Empire, even in the entire northwest region, it is a treasure that is enough to make countless strong people grab their heads. Is the old gentleman Yenner's teacher? Xiao Lin did not touch these 3 items, but stood up respectfully and clasped his fists. Yao Lao smiled and said, "Your daughter-in-law told you, right? Your Xiao family has trained a good disciple for me. She has good qualifications and has suitable skills. She is already too far ahead of you. Even in the Gemma Empire, it is difficult to find anyone who can be her opponent." Xiao Lin nodded slightly ashamedly. In fact, the first member of the Xiao family moved away a few years ago. It's just that the Xiao family is very low-key nowadays, and not many people know about it, Yao Lao said in a deep voice. Xiao Yan cannot stay in this small border town forever. Sooner or later he will leave the Gemma Empire. Now that the mainland is changing, becoming my disciple means that he is destined to face many powerful enemies. There is still a long period of peace now. If you practice seriously, you can become a helper for him in the future. I believe that with your qualifications and my help, you will be able to break through and become a strong person in the Dozong in the next 3 or 4 years. Xiao Lin said solemnly, "Thank you, Mr. Old, for your guidance." Xiao Lin will definitely live up to Mr. Old's high expectations. Xiao Lin did not complain or hate Yao Lao for bringing huge trouble to the Xiao family, but took a serious look at practicing the exercises. Xiao Lin knew very well that his grandson's talent was outstanding, and the Xiao family could protect his safety in the Gemma Empire, but it was absolutely impossible to provide him with rare training resources. The emergence of Yao Lao just made up for this link. Seeing Xiao Lin's focused look, Yao Lao nodded slowly, turned around and flew out of the underground training room, feeling a little heavy. If Xiao Yan is just an ordinary genius, even if he supplies Do Qi for another 3 years, his soul power will not be able to recover much. There are many things that even if he has the intention, he is not capable of doing them. However, Xiao Yan was extremely talented, and 7 years of constant nourishment by pure fighting spirit allowed his soul power to return to its peak level. Before returning to Zhongzhou, he will inevitably develop a certain amount of strength. Even a 3-year-old child in Zhongzhou knows the division of power in Zhongzhou: 1 palace, 1 tower, 2 sects, 3 valleys and 4 square pavilions. Starfall Pavilion can only be regarded as a slightly larger ant in front of the Soul Palace, relying on Feng Xian, and this old guy can only last for a while. Only by giving Xiao Yan as much training time as possible can he defend Xingyan Pavilion and defeat Soul Palace. Under the shroud of starlight, Xiao Yan gradually realized the specialness of this starlight. With your years of cultivation experience and extraordinary soul perception, you have an epiphany. You have understood the secret technique 3000 stars /.